Hello everyone, my name is Shelby. I go by Stitches by Shelby here on YouTube and on Instagram, and welcome to FlossTube episode number 1. For those of you who don't know, FlossTube is the section of YouTube where we talk about cross stitch. I might also talk about knitting and diamond painting and other crafts from time to time, but today it's just going to be about cross stitch, so let's get started. I wanted to start off by telling you all how I got into cross stitch. I've been cross stitching regularly for a little over a year now, and I am pretty obsessed. I don't actually remember when I first learned how to cross stitch. I have like a vague memory of me as a child doing some cross stitching. I'm sure my mom taught me, she's very crafty as well, but I don't have any finishes from that time. So the first finished object that I have is this little hoop. It says, "You are my otter half." I made it for my husband for our first Valentine's Day as a married couple together. No idea about the fabric, no idea about the floss. I found the pattern for free on Pinterest, just like an image, so I have zero details for you, but I just framed it in a little hoop, and someday I'll probably finish it into a frame now that I have some more experience finishing things, but that is my first little finish. After that, there was quite a break in my stitching time, and I just got in the mood one day. I think one of my coworkers had been working on a cross stitch or something like that, and I was like, hey, I like to do that. That sounds like fun. So I found this pattern on Etsy. It is called Sea Waves, and it's by Cozy Evening Stitch on Etsy. And I started this in, I have notes down there, so that's why I keep looking down there. December 2018, I finished it in May 2019, and I just kind of worked on it sporadically, but I am super happy with how this one came out. It's not perfect. You can kind of see where there was like a page break in there and my tension was a little bit different. This is stitched on 16 count white Aida. I just got it at Michael's. I framed it in a hoop, and then I got fancier and I stitched some felt onto the back, and this hangs in my bathroom and I love it. I am super happy with it. I don't think I quite realized how much stitching this would be when I bought the pattern, but I love it. I think it's so cool. After that, I kind of took a little bit of a break. I worked on some knitting things, but then I got in the mood to cross stitch again. And so my grandma had actually gifted me a bunch of old embroidery and cross stitch supplies, and in one of those things was a dimensions kit. So I started working on that, but you'll actually see that later when I show you my whips, my works in progress. And I was working on that for a while, got kind of sick of it, so I picked up another Dimensions Gold Petite kit called Let's Fly Away. This is mostly as it was charted. It's stitched on 18 count ivory Aida. I think the only thing I changed about this was the Let's Fly Away words were originally like in a gold. I changed them to blue. And then this was my first experience like really framing something, so I wrapped it around acid-free foam core board. I bought a custom cut mat off of a shop on Etsy. I don't remember the name of the shop off the top of my head, but if somebody needs to know, I could find out. And then I just put it in an 8x10 frame, and I think it's really cute. I'll give you a little close-up. Lots of back stitching, some different things. I actually timed I timed how long it took me to stitch this one, and it took me almost a little over 60 hours, I think, from start to finish. So it was definitely a bigger project, but this is the project that made me fall in love with 18 count Aida. This is stitched with 2 strands. I like how full that looks, so I stitched with 2 strands on 18 and 36 count. And yeah, this is my next finish. After I finished that, I had heard about the Letters from Hogwarts Stitch Your Own Adventure SAL. SAL is Stitch Along. I'm gonna try to say the acronyms as I go because I know that there's a lot. So I had heard about the Letters from Hogwarts Stitch Your Own Adventure SAL, and I joined the Facebook group, and I really wanted to start it, so I did. I started it. That was my next project. I started it on October 13th, 2019, and here it is. I finished it on November 28, 2020. Details about this one. It is stitched on 18 count antique white Aida. How this stitch along worked is every other month a chapter came out. So it started in September, actually, I think is when the frame came out. So that was the top border, the bottom border, and all the letter pages. And then the first chapter was this banner, and there was a couple different options for that. And then we moved down to chapter 2 and chapter 3. And then I think this was chapter 4, 5, and 6. And then each chapter had different elements that you could kind of choose your own adventure. So the banner was pretty like self-explanatory. You picked your house banner, but then for the second chapter, you could pick what position you wanted to play, and then the background changed and the jersey changed for that. And then it kind of got more complicated from there. And so it was a good challenge to me as a new stitcher, because a lot of times you had to stitch like background elements around elements that you'd already stitched, and I don't love counting huge distances, so that was a little bit of a change for me. But yeah, I am really happy with how this came out. I did make a couple of modifications. This castle up here is actually one that was charted by another member of the group. The original castle is much more, it's not nearly as detailed, and it's got a lot more browns in it. That was probably the biggest change that I made. I did add that little dragon up there too that was charted by another member of the Facebook group. I added some sparkly thread in a couple of the sections. Let's see, I added some sparkly thread around the fire whiskey here and around, this is hard to do backwards, around the little hourglasses there. I added the grass in chapter 3 because I had chosen one that looked really, I had chosen a light colored animal to put in there, and on my light fabric, I wanted it to have a little bit more color. And then I framed this by, I wrapped this around foam core board. I wrapped some brown fabric around foam core board. I wrapped this fabric that I got at Joann's around a piece of mat board. And then I put all of that in a 20 by 20 frame. It's really cool to see how I grew as a stitcher throughout the process of stitching this, because I had kind of just started cross-stitching regularly when I started, and by the end I was totally obsessed. So let me give you a close-up. I'm very proud of this one. It's kind of hard to see. Can't see what I'm showing you. I'll just do this and hopefully you can see it. Okay, hopefully that wasn't totally out of frame. So I had kind of caught up on the Letters from Hogwarts stitch along, and I wanted to have another stitch along to work on because it was super fun being in the Facebook group with everyone. And then I saw this one. It is, ooh, sorry for the glare. It is from Linen and Threads. I always mess that up. They do a mystery stitch along every year. It's totally free. And this one was called Friends and Family. And this was another monthly one. So a section came out every month, and it was really interesting being a part of the Facebook group on this one because people chose their own colors. And so you saw a ton of different color combinations. Some people did monochromatic like I did. Some people did a variegated floss. Some people changed their colors, and they are all beautiful. So I chose to do mine on an 18 count Aida. Again, this is Mystic by Picture This Plus. And then my floss is just DMC Blanc, and I love it. And then the cool thing about this one was there was sections for initials. I waited until the very end to stitch my initials. So I have, obviously, my initials are here in the center, and then I have my husband's initials. H is for one of my cats, Henna. I have an A up here for my cat, Apricot. And then I also was able to put my parents' initials, my sister's initials, my grandparents, my great-grandparents' initials, and my aunt and uncle who are like biologically blood related to me. This was my first time framing something with glass. I started this on January 15, 2020, and I finished it on December 6, 2020. This is my favorite piece I have ever made. I am obsessed with it. I wrapped it, I didn't finish the back of it, so I'll show you. I wrapped it on foam core, and then I popped it in the frame. I need to figure out a way to seal up the back of that, but I haven't quite figured that out yet, so it's fine. It sits up on my mantle. It's not going to get damaged for the time being. And then I bought acrylic spacers from Michaels, and I put that on it's actually acrylic that's in here. I got this frame from pictureframes.com, and I really am really pleased with how this turned out. This piece is very special to me. So that is Linens and Threads Mystery Sampler 2020 Friends and Family. So now we can move on to my works in progress. I'm gonna do a little whip parade for you. So not everything is something that I've worked on in the past couple of weeks, but there's not too many, so hang tight. Okay, So my first WIP is that one that I was just talking about, the Dimensions kit that I got from my grandma. It is called Winter's Lace, and here's the cover picture. This is a fairly old kit. I did do a quick Google search before I started filming, and it looks like you can still get it on like eBay and places like this. Like I said, I inherited it from my grandma. It was already started when I started it, so I have no idea how old this is, but it does look like you can still get it. It is stitched on 16 count Dove Gray Aida, and let me show you my progress. Here it is. I started this I think in July of 2019. This was before I started taking really good notes on things. So I think I started it in July, and once I finish this will be about halfway. So I'm getting pretty close. This is actually all stitched. It's just really light. So let me give you a little close up. It's a bunch of wolves, and then there's a ton of back stitch on this too. It's different to stitch. There's a lot of blends, there's a lot of half stitches, so you kind of have to pay attention. I ended up scanning the pattern and using it in iBooks on my iPad because the pattern is huge. It's like bigger than this piece of fabric. You can see this is the whole fabric. But yeah, so one of my 2021 goals is to finish this. I have been putting like 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 lengths of thread in this most days, not every day. That's my goal though. And it really is amazing how much progress you can get in a month by doing that. I've been taking like monthly shots of this, and so that's really encouraging. So I think I can finish this year, and then I'll get it framed, and it's actually a gift for someone, so then I will give it to them. My next project is not actually cross stitch, but it is like embroidery stitching related, so I figured I'd show it to you. It is the Big Love Bag from Hello Bargello. If you don't follow her on Instagram, you should. She posts some beautiful pictures. I had never heard of Bargello before I started following her, and I really enjoy it. It's like cross stitch but faster, and yeah, you can do some cool stuff with it. It's stitched with the tapestry wool from DMC. So anyways, I have done a few Bargello projects. I hope to do a few more. This is what I have done on it. One side of the bag can actually go like this. So I do this again for the other side, and then I do the sides and the bottom, and then I assemble it, and then I'll have a cute purse bag. So anyways, that's that. Her kits are really nice too. They come with everything you need. I would really recommend her kits. All right, the next WIP that I have is something that you've probably never seen before on FlossTube. I'm just kidding. It's Quaker Pumpkins by Hello from Liz Matthews. This pattern is perfect. I kind of got really into Quakers when I was stitching the Linen and Threads mystery sampler this past year, and so my husband gifted me the pattern and all the threads just as a surprise one time, and I started this on October 19, 2020, and I'm not terribly far on it. Gotta get it the right way. I have 2 pumpkins done and a third one started. And then, so obviously I still have like 2 more pumpkins on either side, and then the border and the words. I am stitching this on 32 count cream Lugana, and I did actually, well, my husband actually splurged and bought the Fancy Floss, the Weeks Dye Works floss, and I love it. It is perfect. I'm hoping to have this one finished by next fall so I can display. I haven't worked on it in a little while, but it is absolutely stunning. So I love it. All right, next one, keeping in theme, Quaker Snowflakes by Hello from Liz Matthews. This one I started November 10, 2020. When she showed this on her like release video, I immediately pre-ordered it from Top Knot Stitcher. And I am doing the one on the blue one. So here is my progress. I was working on this fairly regularly, but then once it got after Christmas, I wanted to start some other things. So here is my progress on that. This is the called for fabric. This is 32 count Haunted Linen by Picture This Plus. I am using the DMC conversion for the threads. I think on the cover photo, Haunted looks a lot more blue. Mine is much more gray and purpley, but I am still really happy with it. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm like halfway done. There's a close up, a little less than halfway done maybe. I I love it. I hope she keeps doing these like kind of modern Quaker patterns because they're just amazing. I love them. Okay, now we're getting into some more recent starts. I'm gonna show you the cover photo on my iPad because I have the digital pattern. All right, this is Mini Contessa with Squid by Heaven and Earth Designs. It's based off of a piece of artwork by, I think his name is Omar Ryan, something like that. This is the mini version. I don't know if I said that. This was my Christmas gift from my husband this year. He got me the pattern and the fabric and all the threads for it. I bought a separate set of DMC for this one since I know this is probably gonna be a long-term project. And let me show you where I am on it. I started December 27, 2020, and here I am. So you can kind of see you're starting to get a tentacle. I started in the upper left corner. This is a 28 count ivory Lugana. I'm stitching it 2/1 tent stitch, so it's going a lot faster. I'm trying out the parking method, so that's why I have all the dangling threads there. I love seeing this come together. It is going faster than I thought it would actually. And so I think I'm like almost 5% done now, and I've only been working on this like a couple of days. So it's going pretty quickly, and I put Pattern Keeper on my Kindle Fire, and I don't think I could do it without it. So if you like full coverage things, Pattern Keeper is totally worth it. But anyways, this is my Contessa with Squid Mini. And I love it. I can't wait to have her finished. I think with the size fabric that I did it on, it'll fit in an 11 by 14 frame when I'm done. So hopefully that'll make the framing process pretty easy. But yeah, that's that. And then my last one, another one that you've probably never seen on FlossTube before, Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. So there's the cover picture. And this one, Long Dog Samplers released this for free, I think at the end of June for a week. It was supposed to be like their anniversary sampler for this year, and they had called it Pandemic, and then everything happened and they decided to release it for free for a little while. You can still buy this pattern. And then this was my new year, new start. So I started out on January 1st, 2021, and I'm stitching this on 32 count white Lugana and just straight DMC 310 black. And I love watching this come together. It's a nice change from having my Heaven and Earth Designs, my Squid Lady, where that's a lot of color changes, to this, which is just one color, and then the pattern and motifs are just beautiful. I love this. This piece of fabric is a monster though. I'm stitching this, I don't think I said, this is 2/2. So it's like the equivalent to 16 count. So I have a ton of fabric. So if any of you have suggestions for how to manage this, I have it in a grime guard, but it is like, honestly, still a little bit unmanageable even with that. So I would be curious to hear your suggestions for that. This is the edge of the first page, and then it goes down. There's like another bird down here, and this motif finishes up, but I love it. So now we can talk about finishes. I did have a couple of finishes the past couple of weeks. This first one, there's small finishes, is just this little pillow. This is a freebie called Reindeer from Doreen Jones on her Facebook page. I did not write down when I started this. I also didn't write down any of my thread colors. It's stitched on a scrap of, there's a lot of cat hair on this. It's stitched on a scrap of black 14 count Aida. I just picked colors that looked close to what the called for were. And then I made it into a little pillow. So there's the back. This was my first time finishing something into a pillow. And this was my first finish of the year. I finished it January 1st or 2nd maybe. Like I said, I didn't write anything down for this one. This was a total, I winged it. And then I actually stuffed it with my orts, my old ratty threads. That's what we call like the little snippets that you cut off. I save them in a jar throughout the year, or I did this past year, I guess, because this is my first year. And then I use them to stuff this pillow. And yeah. And then my other finish is also pretty small. It's Polar Bear Abode by Lindy Stitches. This was in the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine winter edition, this most recent one. Here's an up close. There's still some hoop marks, but I think it's fine because I'm gonna just put it in a hoop, I think. I picked all my own colors for this just based on what looked close. If I had the called for DMC, I used it, but there was a lot that I didn't have, so I just pulled from my stash. This fabric is the same one that I stitched the mystery sampler on. It's 18 count Aida Mystic by Picture This Plus. I think I'm just gonna make this into a little ornament, and I think it's really cute. I really love Lindy's Stitches designs, and this one's so cute and tiny. It was a fun little stitch. A little polar bear with his Christmas tree in his little house. I started this December 28 and I finished it January 7. So now I want to talk about my 2021 plans. I'd like to finish the Winter's Lace one, I'd like to finish the Quaker ones, and I'd like to finish my Bargello bag by the end of the year. I don't have like a really strict schedule for my stitching. What I've kind of been doing is I usually put a length of thread into the wolf one, the Winter's Lace, and then I work on either the Squid Lady or Pandemic, and then if I get sick of that, I switch to like a small. My other plans for this year are, I know Gable Stitcher, Amy, and Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World, Julie, last year they did a thing where they started a new Halloween project on the 13th of every month. I would like to start a Halloween ornament on the 13th of every month. This past year, I set up a Halloween tree. I actually bought a fake tree. I spray painted it black. I put a bunch of orange like bulb ornaments on it, and I want to fill it with Halloween cross stitch ornaments. So I have a couple of Mill Hill kits. I have a couple of the Stitching with Housewives Halloween ornament patterns that they did. So I would like to have a couple more ornaments. So I figure if I start one on the 13th of every month until October, I'll have like 10 new ornaments. So I don't know which one I'll start on the 13th this month, but that's a plan that I have. I signed up for the yearly membership of Stitching Book Club. If you don't know Stitching Book Club, I think her design name is actually Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts. She does like a classic book that's in the public domain, and she pairs it with a stitch along. So you do like a read along and a stitch along. The books that are included in this year's membership are Sense and Sensibility, Little Women, and The Great Gatsby. I'm gonna be honest with you, I read Pride and Prejudice, and I don't know if I'm a huge Jane Austen fan, but from the sneak peeks that she showed, I will give it another try because that pattern is beautiful. And then she gave like a little description when you signed up for the membership of what each of the coming patterns is gonna look like, and I am so excited. I knew I was gonna do Great Gatsby because I really loved Great Gatsby, and I can't wait. But anyways, I think the Sense and Sensibility will start in February. So I'll be working on those, all 3 of those at least. And then the 4th one of the year is the Chronicles of Narnia. That one wasn't included though because it's actually not in public domain yet. And so she got special permission to make a pattern, but there's a limited number of patterns. So that one I'm gonna try to snag if I can later in the year, but we'll see. And as far as like my immediate plans, what I'm gonna start in the next few weeks or work on, I'm obviously gonna keep working on my 2 big ones, my Pandemic and my Squid Lady. And then I think I might start something today. I purchased myself a digital subscription to both Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, as well as Just Cross Stitch magazine. And in the newest Just Cross Stitch magazine, Erin from Autumn Lane Stitchery has this little guy. It's a little gnome. It's called Lovely Gnomes. I have some 16 count Bashful by Picture This Plus, which is like a really pale pink. I have all the DMC except for one, which I think is gonna come in a 1, 2, 3 stitch order today. I just really wanted to stitch some Valentine's patterns. I think this is super cute. I know the gnomes are a little trendy right now and I'm on board. So I might start this, or I might start this little Mill Hill kit, Cafe Mocha. My mom and I have been making these. They just redid their kitchen. My parents did. They just redid their kitchen and they wanted to have a little coffee station with some of these little coffee cross stitches on there. So I already did cappuccino, and I have cafe mocha, and I have espresso. So we'll do all those. Super cute. These are fun stitches. They're deceptively a lot of stitching though. I thought they were gonna be really quick, and this is not a terribly quick project, but I like the beading and they're cute. So that is that. So I'll start one of those things today. I think that's all I have for you all. If you liked this video, you could like the video, that'd be cool. If you liked me, you could go ahead and subscribe, see my next one. You can follow me on Instagram at Stitches by Shelby, all one word. I will link everything that I talked about today down in the description box. If I miss something, just ask. I'll answer it to the best of my ability. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you hopefully in a few weeks. Bye.